Okay, I think one of the types of problems that's important to be able to handle are these percentage problems. Um, let's start out by talking about the fact that if we're dealing with percentages, we never use the percentage as a percent in our math problems. We always use the percentage as a decimal. So, for instance, I can see right off the bat that this problem is going to involve 60%. 60% is going to be 0.6. So it's important to make that transition before the problem even begins. All right, hold on a minute here. All right, there we go. So as I was saying, the important part about these percentage problems is to make sure that we're dealing with the percent represented as a decimal as opposed to a percentage. So we'll start out there. The difference of 5/8 V. So, all right, 5/8 V. Let me just get all my pieces together. Subtracted from 4/6 W. 4/6 over W. And I want 60% of this entire thing. So this is 0.6. So I can choose to deal in all decimals or all fractions. I think in this case, I'm going to deal in all fractions since I know that 4/6 is going to be 2/3, and thirds are messy when it comes to decimals. So I am going to deal with 6/10. Let me change this over actually to a fraction also. 6/10 is going to be 3/5. So I'll rewrite the problem again. 3/5 times 4/6 W minus 5/8 V. And I can simplify that even further by distributing. 3/4 times 5/6, 3 times 4 will give us 12. Multiply the tops and the bottoms. I'll do simplifying when I get done. Notice how I am really taking this step by step. 5 times 6 is going to give me 30. That's W. Minus 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 8 is 40. V. Let's simplify everything. This is going to be 6/15, which is 3 into 6 goes twice. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And 5 goes into 15 3 times. And 5 goes into 40 8 times. So I have 2/5 W minus 3/8 V. Probably in addition to just understanding how to transfer the words of meaning multiplication, subtracted from meaning obviously subtraction. In addition to understanding the language that is here, we should always recall that we don't use percentages. We use decimals or fractions to represent those percentages. So that's one of the types of problems I think we should master before we move on much further. Let's take a look at one of these ratio problems. These are, I think they're easier than they appear at first. The ratio of a number of pencils to pens is 5:7. I'm going to write 5:7 that way. Excuse me. There are Q pens. So let's see. Pencils to pens. Pens are on bottom. Q pens. There are Q. Express the number of pencils in terms of Q. So we are going to use the ratio of the numbers of pencils to pens is 5:7. I am going to use P to represent pencils. Q represents pens. Express the number of pencils, P, in terms of Q. So I can rearrange equations in any way that I want, so long as I do the same thing to both sides. In this case, I'd like to get P all by itself because it wants the number of pencils in terms of everything else. So I'm going to multiply each side of the equation by Q, which cancels these out. Because if I multiplied Q over 1 by this fraction, I'd get a Q on top and a Q on the bottom. They would form the number 1 and cancel out. Now I get P is equal to 5/7 times Q, which I'm just going to write that way. So once you realize how to set these problems up, It's just a matter of some algebra. If I wanted to solve for Q, I could do the same thing, but this problem asks us to solve for P, so I'll leave that there. I'm going to ask you to do one of those eventually also. And finally, another percentage problem. And I just think these are important to understand. They're very real life as far as your application is concerned. Freddie paid W dollars for a camera. So let's write camera. Notice how much time I spend getting organized is W. $120 for additional camera lens. And the lens was $120. If the sales tax is 8%, how much did Freddie pay for the camera and lens, including sales tax? So, total cost of the camera and the lens is going to be W plus 120. And the sales tax is going to be 8% of that number. And again, we are going to use 8% as 0.08. 0.8 would be 80%. 0.08 is 8%. W plus 120. So here we have the total cost of the camera and the lens, the sales tax, and to figure out the amount that he paid, we have to take the cost of the camera and the lens and add to it the sales tax. Now I have a whole bunch of variables and distributing and all kinds of things that have to go on here. So I have 120 W plus 120 plus 0.08 W plus 0.08 times 120. 0.08 times 120 is going to give me 9.6. So I'll combine like terms. I have 1 W plus 0.08. I have 1.08 W. And then I have 120 plus 9.6. I have 129.6. So how much is paid can be represented by that expression. If we knew the cost of the camera, we could just plug it into here and figure out the total amount that was paid. All right, excuse me. What I'd like you to do now is with those examples, I would like you to go back and take a look at the work that you did on page 177 for problems 17, 21, and 22, and rework those problems coming back and forth to this video and see if we can come up with answers that are a little more accurate than what I saw written down. If you have any further questions, let me know, or write the questions down, and at the beginning of class tomorrow, we can go over any questions you may still have remaining, and I'm going to check your work. When you do submit work, this is what I'd like to see. Everything written out, not just an answer, not just this piece of it, but all of this. And please notice how much work all of these problems can be on the paper. We're getting to the point in algebra where these problems are going to take you as long, if not a little bit longer, that they just took me to go through them. All right? I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.